All right, so this is going to be another episode of MapChat. Today I'm joined by Coachi. How you doing, Coachi?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, so if we just jump straight in, how did you get into Counter-Strike?
When I was really young, probably like 6 years old, I was introduced to CS 1.6 by my cousin, a countryside cousin. I went to his house sometimes. He does a lot of stuff, and I've learned a lot from him. But he had like an old computer, which he had like a 1.6 there. He
Mhm.
played on like offline servers with lots of bots, and like both of us were trash at it, but we had a lot of fun.
Nice. So yeah, so you went way back, started at 1.6. Was that during like the period of 1.6, or was it sort of what you played when Source was out or Go was out?
I think probably Go was already out, or at source at least was,
Mhm.
because I'm in Brazil, so things were a bit more delayed here
Sure.
at
Yeah.
the time. And since he was also in the countryside, like 1.6 was kind of new there, but probably the rest of the world is like old thing.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's definitely cool. Like, obviously, there's people who sort of jump on at different points. You know, there'll be people who jumped on at CS2, and you
hmm
sort of have to tell them about what went on in Go, and yeah, so it's just great whenever people jump on.
hmm
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
how did you
But
get in?
well, you
Yeah, go on, go on.
you could say I first got introduced to CS there, but for really, if like for real, it was on CS:GO in like 2016, because the when I played 1.6, it was like sometimes, and I was very young, so I
Hmm.
didn't actually take it seriously or anything. It was just like from time to time. But when I got to CS:GO in 2016 is when I actually started playing like more, spend more time on it and understood how it works and
Right, sure,
took it
yeah,
more seriously.
yeah. So you sort of had like an early introduction, but then you took it up at 2016, which I think is was like a big onboarding point for a lot of people.
Yeah,
2016,
yeah.
2015,
hmm
2016. Yeah. So how did you get into mapping? Do you do other game design, or is it just through Counter Strike?
Uh, well, I always liked creating things ever since I was a kid. Like every time I had like a toy or like Legos or whatever I could put my hands on, I liked to use that to create things. So
Sure.
like every game that I played, I tried to use the level editors. Like Serious Sam, Age of Empires, many games, I've
Mm,
tried the editors. Like most of them, I didn't actually stick to them because, well, I was young and also it's hard to learn many editors.
sure.
But because of that, I also tried Counter Strike, and that one I actually ended up learning and enjoyed more because it was a game I played most.
Hmm. So was that on the original Hammer that you first started?
Yeah, yeah, Hammer.
Mm. Um, yeah. So once you got going, how long was it until you sort of released your first map? Because you've released quite a few now, right?
hmm Well, I could say my first map was made in 2017, um, but until 2019, 2020, yeah, probably 2020, I didn't actually do anything good. It was just like shit maps that because I actually didn't participate on the community, I didn't go after learning and stuff. I just did maps to play with friends, and
Sure.
they were all trash, complete garbage. Even my friends like thought, "Oh, this is a waste of time." Um, but in 2020, I joined the Discord, like Source Engine Discord. I think 2019 actually, by the end of 2019. It was the time that the Mapcore contest was going on, the Exotic Places contest.
Hmm.
I did actually try to take part in it, but I started late, so I just submitted a gray box and still wasn't really good at it.
Right. Because in the original contest, there was no grey box stage, right?
Yeah, yeah, it was straight like top 10 and then the top 10, the top 4. And I was still a newcomer there, so I just submitted a gray box. And well, at that point, that was the important place. Is I joined the community. I started playtesting, seeing the people's works, talking to them, learning, and it was very important because I learned like in a very short period what I didn't in for 3 years. Yeah, 3 years.
Sure. Yeah. Did you feel like you were learning the skills when you were doing it on your own? Like in terms of the physical, you know, making I guess it wasn't meshes at the time, but making, using the actual tools in the
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, surprisingly enough, I actually didn't learn at all. Really, I was just doing stuff. Like I
Okay,
learned
sure.
I learned the basic stuff I needed to know, and from that I didn't bother learning. That's why I said that when I joined the Discords and saw what people were doing, it was really helpful because then it showed me that well, there's another realm of things I could do,
Sort of
and
gave you something to
that
reach for.
yeah, and then I saw oh I could do this, and then I started going after learning and stuff.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, yeah. So you've got a
Hmm.
number of workshop releases.
Hmm.
Is it Stream is your first one? Was that the first one you actually like properly put out there, or were there sort of others that you've dropped off? Or
Oh, funnily enough, that map it's older than my first map because it was originally made by Rizzo. Rizzo, it's an old level designer from the CS community.
all right.
Like he made Basalt, a
Oh, of course, yeah.
resort, yeah, many maps. He's a pretty good, pretty cool guy. But yeah, that map I joined after doing Climb with Squidskid as a thing for later,
Mm-hmm.
but we didn't continue it because we were gonna art it and it was set in Ukraine.
Right. Okay.
However, the Ukraine war happened right after we started arting it, and also we were hearing the rumors of Source 2 and all, and
Mm-hmm.
we had many reasons, and it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
But that map is like Rizzo originally made it way back before I started my maps, so it shows in my workshop as like, oh, it's very old, but it's not actually in any touch of
Right.
mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean that Ukraine thing is quite interesting because
Mhm.
I feel like that was a big shift for a lot of people. Like I feel like the standard theme for quite a while was Soviet era desolate wasteland,
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah.
and especially with there being train and cache both set in Soviet era Eastern Europe,
Mhm.
sort of that big shift within the community is
Mhm.
quite interesting. Was it just that map that was affected, or did you sort of have other ones in the works, sort of around that idea?
Uh, I usually work on like one project at max, and at that point, no, I didn't have any others, and I also didn't hear any other people from the community that had like a map set in Ukraine that was canceled or anything.
I think that's good. Yeah,
Hmm.
um, yeah, um, yeah. So if we then move on to climb, would be your biggest one. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So
So
yeah, I
go
started
on,
with
tell me about
a- actually, yeah, I ended up skipping because of the stream, the question. But well, first finished map I did was Firens in 2020.
that. Mm-hmm.
I was actually commissioned to do that map.
Oh,
Someone in
go on, tell me about that.
those, yeah, someone on those discords, Mr. Potato 44, the guy,
Mm-hmm.
he was asking like, oh, I want to art my map here, and I'm gonna offer money because no one wants to art it that I trust. And then I actually accepted the money because I was young and like I was receiving like in dollars, which well was converting it to here is pretty good. So
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
um, I worked for like 4 months into it. Like I didn't make any custom assets for it. I did the entire environment art. It was like an alright project. For a first finished map, it was pretty good. I feel like it started my career, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I finished that map. Then I went on to make Sunburn, which is a Wingman map made for the Source Engine 2020 Wingman contest.
And so
It's placed.
was Sunburn a solo project?
No, no, it was a team project. That Firens was a duo project. Like
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Potato made the layout, and
Yeah.
I just did the art. But Sunburn, I actually teamed up with Dan Knife as a 3D modeler, and I did the environment art.
Okay.
Then there was Seven Arc who made the original layout for it.
Mm-hmm. So do you want to tell me a little bit? So it sounds like you lean towards the environment art as your
Hmm.
specialty. Do you want to tell me a bit about how that relationship works with working with other creators?
Mm. Well, on my first project, it was alone, so I had to. Well, the standards back then were lower, so you could get away with less. You didn't have to do custom textures everywhere, custom
Mm-hmm.
props everywhere. So it was easier to do maps alone, the art alone. But now, as time has progressed, even on the end of CS:GO, the standards were very high. So usually, yeah, I had to split up your work with other people. Often, what people did was like have one dedicated prop asset artist that made it models, textures, and then a level artist that picked those assets and then did the art on the map
Right.
in the editor.
Yeah, yeah. So which one do you prefer out of those two?
Well, initially I was more focused on the level art, doing the stuff in the editor because I didn't know how to 3D model or even make textures.
Mhm.
But as time went on, I've learned to make textures, then I've learned how to model, and then I'm kind of mixed. I like all of them, but I'm especially good and I like doing textures.
Mm. So when you're doing the arting, because one of the things I'm asking map creators doing this series is, what is your philosophy around making maps? And it sounds like you're given your focus is more on the arting. How does that play into sort of what your aim is for the map? Do you aim more towards making it look as great as possible, or do you still tend towards competitive play? What's your sort of feelings on that?
Mhm. Well, as an artist, I always try to make it look the best
Mm-hmm.
and also have like the specific feelings, like give a specific feelings to the player.
Sure, yeah.
But after doing that, you often have to reduce a bit of the art or reconsider some stuff because of the gameplay aspect. Because oftentimes you can see this in real maps that have been released,
Mm-hmm.
like Inferno that has been changed a bit after the CS2 remake. Also Cache, those maps that were like they lost a bit of the detail because some of it got in the way of gameplay. That's
Sure,
kind
yeah.
of you have to have that balance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so if we bring it back to Climb, which, as I understand it, was in the game for a period, how did
Yeah.
you approach that one? Do you think you had a different approach which sort of helped it uh, be more successful in the game, or do you think it was just a luck thing? Tell me a bit about your experience having
Mhm.
that in the game.
Yeah. Well, Climb was made right after Sunburn, which, well, uh, I did the environment art with more custom assets. Like I started to
Mm-hmm.
get more the hang of it. But the biggest thing I learned from Sunburn is the CS:GO style, the CS2 style, like the style you should aim for, how things should be looking overall, right?
Right.
Because I think the biggest flaw with Sunburn was that it looked cartoony, like out of place of the CS style. And then from that, I was able to pick Climb and kind of art it, but with the CS art style in mind. And that combined with the great works of Rizzo and Squidski, the modeler. Rizzo is the level designer.
Mm-hmm.
Both of those guys, I think, already had maps accepted in the game. Yeah, Rizzo definitely had. Squidski, I think he had the first DZ map accepted. But yeah, those two guys leveled up the work, and therefore we were all able to get the map accepted in.
Yeah. So I mean, I generally understand that it's a bit hush hush around the details of getting, how you're approached and stuff. But what
Mhm.
was the? Is there anything you can tell us about? Did they come to you? Was there some informal application process? Was it
Mhm.
through one of the communities? Mapcore, Eagle
Mhm.
One. Was it through one of those that you sort of
Mhm.
they had a look at it? Sort of,
Mhm.
I don't want to pressure you for any information you're not allowed to give us, but
Uh-huh.
anything,
Uh,
yeah.
I'll give what I can give. So we did the map for our maps. I think kind of works like that. You put it on the workshop, and then on every release, the mappers like they share it on like Mapcore, Source Engine, the discords of mapping, and like
Mm-hmm.
everybody helps each other, thumbs ups on the workshop, and that gives a lot of visibility. They also do Twitter posts, and like every serious mapper when they release a map, it's guaranteed to like go on the front page and all, and so on.
Right.
So it does get a lot of visibility.
Of Reddit.
That visibility, from what some people have said, of like people that have visited Valve, they say that like Valve are like all the time they are checking the maps in the workshop. They know they follow the scene. They know the biggest mappers are. They check the maps in development, sometimes the maps that are released mostly. And so they're watching out, they don't talk or speak anything. They
Right.
don't directly contact asking for stuff. From what I know, they just watch around, like they lurk by, but they know what's going on. And then if they like your work and they want to add it, they email you like, oh, we want to add your map here and so on. And then yeah, proceed with the informations and the rest of the process. Yeah.
Wow. That is, I mean, it tracks with the way sort of Valve engages with the rest of the scene. They clearly are
Yeah.
doing lots of things, but you don't know it until it happens.
Yeah, exactly. Uh, yeah, go on.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess if we move into the contest, um, yeah. What was the origins for your contest entry, Palacio?
hmm Yeah, we have, well, first, since I joined this Discord communities, I ended up talking a bit with some group of people, some people I liked more, we talked more, and then we ended up making like a private Discord, a community we hang around mostly with like the closest friends
Mm-hmm.
like we made at that time. And then on that Discord, I've like I found out this place in real life that is where Palacio is set. It's Palacio da Pena. It's
Palacio. Okay.
set in Portugal, in the city of Sintra. It's like a beautiful castle on the top of the hill. So yeah, I found that castle once. I don't remember where, if it was in a travel video or what. And then I was like, oh, this team is so damn good. So I sent on the Discord like, oh, I'd like to make a map here one day. But I didn't know at the time that Klixx and Slimek, the two guys
Mm-hmm.
that are working with me right now, they also wanted to do that theme for a map eventually. I think they even wanted it to do it. They even wanted to do it in the 2019 contest,
Okay.
but they didn't end up doing it. They made the Bragov, which is a map set in Bulgaria.
Okay.
But yeah, both of them and me wanted to do the same theme, and since I sent it on that Discord and they're there, they knew that. So when the contest was announced, uh, Slimek and Klixx, they always kind of work together. They made many maps together, and even a skin. Yeah, they're all together,
Okay.
and then they wanted to do that theme. They teamed up, of course, for the contest because
Mm-hmm.
they were all together, and they were like, "Oh, this team is good, but I don't think we can manage it on our own." So since I've shown the interest on that map, they asked me out. "Oh, do you want to work on it as well?" And they said, "Oh, of course," because they do some really good work. Their latest work is Edin that was added in
Yes, of
the
course. Yeah.
latest CS update. They do great work, so it's a pleasure to work with them.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
And you'd worked with them before, right?
Actually, no. With
Okay.
both of them, I didn't. I like we talk a lot. We've shared a lot of thoughts over the years, but no, we didn't actually like, work together until now. I think. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
That's great. I mean, yeah. So did you? So the contest was announced. How quickly did you sort of get involved with it? Because I'm guessing you're more on the art environment side.
hmm
W-
Yeah,
Go on.
as I've said before, the standards of the art overall has raised so much that you need a lot of effort in the
Mm-hmm.
art
Sure.
to stand out and place highly nowadays. So since on day one that I was like they invited me to the project, I've been working on assets,
Right.
textures,
Okay.
models for it. Because well, on day one you don't have the layout,
Mm-hmm.
but we did have the theme. So with the theme you can also you can start doing assets. So from day one I'm doing assets and textures. And at the time, Slimek was gonna do the level design, and the Klixx was finishing editing. Slimek and Klixx were finishing editing,
Sure. Yeah.
but Klixx was working on art for editing, and he was finishing that map because it got released like in the middle of the contest after the contest was announced
Mm-hmm.
because they have been working on it for a long time.
Yes.
And Slimek was probably doing lesser stuff on that map, so he was able to do the level design. He's more focused on that field.
Okay.
So he was supposed to do the level design, and he did for Palacio.
So was it that he'd been doing the level design for Eden at the beginning, and then it sort of moved into
Mhm.
Klix's territory, and so now he was able
Act-
to start again.
Actually, no. In that map, it was a different thing. Peak was the level designer for that map. It was
All right.
made
Okay.
for I think a Source Engine gray box contest, It was made then, and then it was arted for a few years by Klixx only, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Peak doing textures and I think maybe some models. But then to finish it faster, Slimek hopped on the project because they were working on it for I think at least 2 years. It was a very long project.
I see. So Slimek does art design, art environment stuff as well.
I think, yeah, he does. I think probably some of it, but he's really good with technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can ask him whatever. He probably knows a lot of like intricacies of the engine and like hidden details and fixes to everything. Like he's really helpful technical guy to have in your team.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably helped with like touching up, like doing the polishment of the map at the
Sure.
end.
Yeah. So yeah, bringing it back to Palacio. So then you
Mhm.
you had the concept, you were working on textures, and then did you have input in the level design, or did you just leave that fully
Mhm.
to them?
Yeah, well, Limek was supposed to do the entire level design,
Mm-hmm.
but he wasn't able to come up with the initial layout. Like
Okay.
we had the team, and we wanted to do kind of similar to the how it's set in real life, and I think that might have been a bit difficult for him
Okay.
because everybody has their different workflows.
Mm-hmm.
But then since we were like some time had passed and we didn't have a layout, we needed to have a layout for the first
Yes.
stage because yeah, last contest you were able to like do a layout and then maybe like actually no, you did all the assets, all the textures, and then maybe even make the layout like at the end of the contest. But now you
Okay.
actually had to do the layout first, right? So we needed a layout because the time was running by and he wasn't able to come up with anything. So I ended up making the first iteration of the layout
Mm-hmm.
because I do like doing level design, but I'm not as experienced or good at it. But I like creating different angles, height variation. Like I kind of know what makes stuff fun to play,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not really good with like play tests and receiving feedback, adjusting to the
Mm-hmm.
changes, and that I'm not really good at because I didn't really do it that much.
Sure.
So I did the first version, and after that, Slimek took fully the control.
Mm-hmm.
We still participated in the playtest. I give my thoughts to him, but he did all the changes afterwards, and he did a great job at it.
Yeah. And so yeah, so you hand it over, and then he starts working on that, and you go back to working on the assets and things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, brill. So for the Palacio, you were saying you saw some images online. Are you taking as much inspiration as you can from that, or are you adding sort of some CS2 flair into it? Sort of how are you merging the real world with the sort of in-game style that started to develop in
hmm
CS2?
hmm Well, uh, the theme overall is I think is pretty suited to the Counter Strike scene, an art style
Mm-hmm.
because it has good visibility, like has clean, colorful textures, bright stones, concretes and stuff. The tiles, bright tiles, ornamented tiles and stuff. Overall, it's a pretty good looking team and also very good for the visibility, like the Counter Strike style overall. It's also very memorable. Every part of the castle kind of has different styles and different ornaments that helps
Mm.
with like nade lineups, player orientation, and so on. So we didn't have actually to do much changing from the real life style to the Counter Strike style, but we did have to change the layout, of course. Like
Mm-hmm.
the real life layout had like stuff that of course wouldn't fit Counter Strike,
Yeah.
like maybe too tight of corridors or like weird angles, stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of did this structure similar to real life, but with the Counter Strike gameplay to it. And then we used the references to kind of like fill up those gaps that weren't on the original castle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the bits that because it's sort of in a half-hearted state at the moment because it's we're midway through the second stage, but the bits that
hmm
are there look really great at the moment, and they definitely feel very. I've never been to Portugal, but sort of it been around that area, and it does have that feeling of this is a place built from the ground up, and it's built with lots of vibrant colors and has been in the
hmm
sun and sort of sun soaked. Yeah, it's starting to look really nice.
hmm Thank you.
Yeah. So, yeah, how far do you feel you are along it along the process now?
Hmm.
Because obviously you've been working on it on your side of things for a number of months now.
Hmm.
Is it shifting more towards your area now? Are you still sort of in the uh, like first half of things? Like how close are you
Hmm.
to the end?
Well, the level design was finished. I think, yeah, I think it was finished. Slimek did a few tweaks even after the first
Mm-hmm.
stage that Palacio got. Well, it passed to the next stage. He still did a few fixes, but after that, he was done with it. So he started doing 3D assets, 3D models for it.
Okay.
And then, since they also released add-in, I don't remember when exactly now,
Yeah,
but
it
after
was a few
releasing
months
add-in,
ago, but after the into the second stage, wasn't it?
yeah, but after they released Edin, they were able to work fully on it,
Mm-hmm.
especially Klixx. Klixx, when he got to the map, well, since I was already doing assets, the textures and the models, and I
Mm-hmm.
was still doing them because there needs to be a lot of them
Yeah.
for like it to actually replicate with the real life and to stand out. So to keep the consistency, I kept doing assets, and then Klixx took all of those assets I made for a long time, and he started doing the in-map work. After Klixx got in the project, it went way faster. He
Okay.
works really fast, does a lot of stuff, and he does it really well. And after that, it has been going very nicely. I've been continuing to do a few assets here and there, and also a bit of work on the map here and there as well. And it's going along very nicely. We are almost finishing like the first art pass on the entire map, and that would be like making the geometry, the first textures, and first models for on the entire playable space.
Right. Yeah.
And then after that, we would have to do the clutter pass, which is like adding the small details and
Mm-hmm.
props that make it feel livable. So
Yeah.
like
Break it up.
those
Yeah.
small things. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, obviously, it sounds like you guys are working really hard on it. It sounds like
Hmm.
Klixx is, like you say, just powers through it. Do any of you guys work on this professionally, or is it all in your own time, just when you've got time and energy
Hmm.
and?
Yeah, we are working on it when we have the time because I
Mm-hmm.
think all of us three are on university at the
Right. Okay.
moment. So we're doing our stuff, the regular life stuff, and then this is like a hobby. Like we do it on our spare time.
Mm-hmm.
But when it has the potential to like get top four and also get added into the game, then there's also it's more than a hobby. It gets to be more than a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah. You're willing to put a lot of energy into it. Yeah. So, do
Mhm.
you study game design or anything, or have you just taught it yourself at all?
Mhm. Everything map related, I ended up teaching it myself,
Mm-hmm.
like through YouTube and stuff, on the Discord,
Sure.
the people that I've talked with, my friends I've made in these communities, they help a lot. I've learned all from there. But from working on this field, I started a graduation in like graphic expression. I don't know what would be the translation exactly. I don't know if it would be that, but it's kind of in the field of that, but not exactly. It's not game related. It's more like in creation project wise. Like you learn design, prototyping, 3D printing, like
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Like product
stuff
design kind
related.
of things.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
in that field. Yeah.
But a lot of modeling skills, I take it, you've got
Yeah,
from
uh-huh.
it. Yeah.
A lot of tech related stuff, yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel like this contest compares with? Because I know you were saying you were sort of still learning a lot when you did
Hmm.
exotic places, but obviously you were still sort of in the community as it was happening. How
Hmm.
do you feel this one's differed? Because there was around 5 years in between, right?
Hmm. Oh yeah, I think a lot has changed. I think, yeah, many people that were in the other contests probably weren't like life moved on. So a few of them, I think, won't participate in this
Mm-hmm.
contest, didn't participate, and the ones that did probably are like with other stuff going on in their lives, so they haven't been able to work on the maps as much. But what we can take from that is basically that there's a lot of new people, like new contenders that weren't like as good on the other contests
Mm-hmm.
are now good on this. So a lot of new people, new qualities, and very new overall, especially with the new tools.
Mm-hmm.
The new source tools opened up the doors for many new people to come in, people skilled from other areas. That's pretty cool as well, and it also has raised the bar a lot.
Yeah, I
which
guess.
will give
Yeah,
us very good maps.
yeah, I guess people like you who were around for the first time, but have now had 5 years of working on all these different maps, learning through climb being sort of vindicated in the Counter Strike scene,
Hmm.
sort of learning what worked in that, maybe learning like, oh well, there were things in that I would have done differently, that sort of thing. And so
Hmm.
there's guys like you who've been in the trenches and are now in the second stage, and obviously the distinction, from what I understand, it was in exotic places there was everyone entered, and then there was top 10 and top 4, right?
Yeah.
And so it was very everything's at the end, whereas this one it's sort of broken it up into
Hmm.
how good it is at different stages.
Hmm.
um
Yeah.
yeah, and so obviously we've got 3 months, is that right? 3 months until the deadline ish for
Yeah, about
Arctic.
that. Yeah, probably. I think it's 2 months, maybe.
Mm-hmm. So
Let me check.
I think it's
One
it's
sec.
around February or March, isn't it?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, 9th of February. 9th of February. So exactly 2 months.
Yeah. Oh, okay, that's good. Um, so is there a point at which you sort of throw your hands up and say, right, those are all the assets I could do. I've got to go focus on my degree, or are you sort of you just with it to the end, and you're going to be on 24-hour days, grinding to get it done at the end.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Oftentimes, since university can be annoying, like a lot of work, I
Mm-hmm.
usually procrastinated university work by working on the map.
Sure. Yeah. The best
So
motivation.
yeah, exactly. So in the end, a lot of stuff did get like piled up, and then when it gets piled up, I had to work like unhealthily, like many hours straight finishing this university stuff.
Sure.
So then I could get back to the mapping things.
Like all good game designers should. Yeah.
Yeah, uh-huh. But thankfully, this is the last week of university for the semester, and since I'm on the southern hemisphere, we'll
Mm-hmm.
have the summer vacation, which is longer.
Right.
So
Okay.
I'll be on vacation until March, and that should be good enough for me to
Right.
finish the map by the deadline.
That's a
Help us
good,
finish the map.
yeah, that's a good regional advantage for you, because obviously in
Yeah.
Europe we had, I guess, an advantage leading up into the first stage one, but
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's less work involved in the first stage. So you guys have then, yeah, that's a lucky
Yeah.
break for you there.
Mm-hmm. But it's only 33% of the team because both Slimek and the Klixx are on the northern hemisphere.
Right. So they're on Christmas, getting assignments due in and all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Um, That's cool. Yeah. So, moving on from the contest, hopefully that goes well. What are your future plans after that?
I'm still very young, so I oftentimes I'm changing my mind and
Sure.
stuff. But I plan to maybe go to Europe after I graduate and
Hmm.
try to get a work there to see how life differs from Brazil. Maybe that will open doors for me, like, oh, I like working in this company, or maybe, oh, I don't like working on this games or
Sure.
this field, so I end up changing my mind. But the intention is to go there to learn, to see what I actually like, if I want to stay in Brazil or not, and
Hmm.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So, are you aiming to stay in the game design scene, or are you focusing more on product design stuff?
Hmm. Well, for now, since I have more experience in the game design field,
Hmm.
like I've done more works on that field, I'll probably try to get on that first, because probably have more opportunities on it. But maybe if I don't get successful on that, I could go to other fields as well, following from my university degree.
Hmm.
But we'll see, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that all sounds great.
Mhm.
Yeah. I can wish you good luck in the contest.
Thank you.
It's been really great talking to you. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah, is there anything you'd like to say to anyone listening? Uh,
Hmm.
you know, uh, just anything. Yeah.
I'd like to thank the Mapcore people for hosting this contest, and especially the hub, the Faceit hub
Hmm.
moderators
Yeah.
for like, because this contest has this new thing where the maps are constantly rotated on the hubs, even on the first stages of the contest. the maps kept rotating, and that is probably a lot of work. A lot of maps
Mhm.
that maybe could have problems here, and then you have to deal with that,
So
and
was that
then
not in the original contest?
no, no,
Right.
it was I think just the maps that got the top 4, the top 10 maybe. Yeah, that after the contest was ended, those maps got added into the Faceit hub pools. But now it's mid contest, so that's a
Hmm.
new thing. And well, I wanted to thank them for hosting all of that stuff because it gives us more feedback. And yes, must be a lot of work.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much
Hmm.
for coming on. Good luck with the contest and good
Hmm.
luck with everything else.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, thank you a lot for hosting this interview. It's really cool that you give attention to this community, shows the insights of other people. I want to see the next podcast you'll do with other people because this community, especially the contest now, is really great because everybody can learn from each other. The contest times are so awesome because everybody's like fighting to be the best, and
Mm.
it's overall so cool.
Yeah. I mean, the secret of this show, of course, is that I am actually just mining everyone else for tips
Hmm.
and tricks on how to do well in this contest, and then I'm going to steal all the ideas. Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that's a good strategy. Maybe for the next contest, you'll
Yeah.
have a
Exactly.
heads up.
Yeah. Yeah. I've got a log of all the best ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Yeah, see ya.